Steel Wool is a 1957 Ralph Wolf and Sam Sheepdog cartoon, and I think this is the second one that I've seen ever, because I have no recollection of the characters from my childhood outside of the PlayStation game. Loved the PlayStation game, so I'm kind of getting to know the characters, and I kind of have a similar attitude to this as I do the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote cartoons. Not just because Ralph Wolf and the Coyote look so similar, but I feel like I'm watching it, going through the motions, enjoying it, but nothing has really stood out to me as being particularly great. Although there was one moment in this that I liked. This was released in 1957, directed by Chuck Jones, with a story by Michael Maltese, and Mel Blanc provides the voices of Sam Sheepdog and Ralph Wolf. And it takes a similar format to the previous one that I've seen, and I assume all of the others, where Sam Sheepdog is guarding the sheep and Ralph Wolf tries everything he can to capture the sheep. And it does feel very similar to Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner in the sense that Ralph Wolf tries one thing to reach his goal, it fails, he tries something else, it fails. Meanwhile, Sam Sheepdog is deploying various tactics to overthrow his attempts, which is very similar to what we see with Coyote and Roadrunner. I feel like this one I prefer to Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner though, because I think partly because I love the animation design of the sheep and of Sam Sheepdog. I don't want to go into too much detail about any specifics, but one of my favourite bits in this is when Sam Sheepdog sits on a plank and there's a brilliant sound effect before Ralph Wolf is propelled into the air, and I absolutely loved that bit. There are a few bits in this that genuinely made me go, wow, but that is actually one of those bits. I also love the bit with the rubber band. The rubber band features in Wile E. Coyote cartoons, and I've mentioned that before as being something that stood out to me as being particularly great. So it seems that I just love it when Warner Brothers use rubber bands. I think visually it looks good, the sound effects are brilliant. So the actual events in this are interesting enough, but what I did like is the fact that it starts off with Sam Sheepdog and Ralph Wolf actually heading to work and clocking in, and they're friendly with one another. I think it also helps that Ralph Wolf isn't trying to get Sam Sheepdog, so they're not direct enemies. But Sam Sheepdog is obviously getting in the way of Ralph Wolf getting the sheep. But the fact that they start off both clocking into work and Sam Sheepdog waiting for the hour to strike so he can begin working, it's like they're frenemies. They couldn't live without each other. And I think this kind of relationship between the two characters is something I'm interested in exploring more as I watch more of their cartoons. So that's definitely something that I think is more interesting than Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoons. So even though I have a kind of similar attitude between the two of them, it's still a different experience, and I did genuinely enjoy Steel Wool. There wasn't too much in it that stood out to me as being specific reasons why I enjoyed it, but I liked it enough, and I'm keen to see what else is in store with these characters.